Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Hello everybody and welcome to Ask Rob and Rob, the show where you get your questions in and we give you answers. Now this week we've had a lot of questions about one particular subject. No prizes for guessing what that is because you've read the podcast title, but the good news is we're about to tackle them. But before we do, let's remind you how to get involved and get your questions in on the show.
Yes, dead easy. Just give us a call on 013 808 00035. That's 013 808 00035. Or you can head over to our lovely website at propertyhub.net/ask and send your question in there. Either way, just leave us a voicemail and we'll get back to you. Today though, Rob, special treatment, no voicemail required.
Yes, so we've had lots of questions around stamp duty, or in particular the stamp duty holiday that the Chancellor's just announced. So lots of people have been asking what exactly has happened, because there's lots of information out there. Does it apply to me? And in particular, when asking, does it apply to me as a property investor? And then, of course, people want to understand, and what does this mean for the property market? Will it impact it? Will it push the market on? Or is it not going to make a difference? Well, we're going to try and cover as much of that off as we can in this episode. So let's start, Rob, with explaining exactly what's happened and who it applies to.
Let's do that. So this was announced on the 8th of July in Rishi Sunak's summer update. And he announced that in England and Northern Ireland, the stamp duty threshold would increase to £500,000 until the 31st of March next year. So as a normal residential buyer, no stamp duty to pay at all on properties up to £500,000. That's great news for anyone wanting to buy a home to live in, but the big question was, does this apply to investors? And at first this wasn't clear, but the answer, it subsequently emerges, is yes. It does.
Yippee!
Yeah, we could scarcely believe it because this is the first positive tax change for investors I could ever remember. But before you get too carried away, it's not perfect. The 3% surcharge for additional properties is still there. So basically, for any property that you're buying up to $500,000, you'll only have to pay 3% rather than the higher amount you previously would have done. So it doesn't remove stamp duty for investors, but it does reduce it. And the amount it reduces it by gets higher the more expensive the property you're buying. Now, we've put together an article on the Property Hub website explaining all of this in case it's easier to take it in writing than verbally. And also in there's a calculator that we've created that will show you exactly how much money you're going to save based on the value of the property you're buying. So you'll find a link to that in the show notes for this episode.
Another question people had was, well, I've exchanged on my property, but I've not yet completed. Will it apply to me? Well, the good news is, yes, if your property completes within the holiday window, then this will apply to you, even if you've exchanged before the announcement. So, great news again. So, of course, there's frustration for people who've completed just before the announcement, and I'm sure there'll be some frustration for people who will end up completing just outside of the window. But let's not look at this negatively, because it is very positive, not just for property investors, for the whole property market, which is much more important. Because if the property market does well, then everyone on the property ladder will do well. And that's really the next question, but is a much bigger question. What does this mean for the property market in the short term and potentially in the long term? Will it impact it? Well, the answer is, will this make an impact? Yes. The long version of that answer, Rob, we'll probably best covering off in the podcast. But we've got some very good news, because we were running market updates during the height of the COVID crisis. Every single week we were bringing you information on what was happening in the market. And when we stopped those updates, we actually got a lot of feedback to say, oh, why have you stopped? Please, can you bring them back? So, by popular demand, we are going to bring it back on a monthly basis, and it'll be one of our Thursday podcasts. So every month for the rest of this year, we're going to do a market update. And what better time to kick that off? July's episode will be out on Thursday, where we'll discuss stamp duty, the impacts it'll have on the property market, and all the other news and the impact that will have on the property market as well. So quite an exciting episode coming up on Thursday. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Lots of you have left lovely feedback about those episodes. So make sure you give that one a listen.
Yep, if you're active in the market at the moment, or you're thinking about becoming active in the market, that is not an episode that you'll want to miss. So we'll see you on Thursday for that one. Until then, have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.